If you've ever lifted a handful of rich, dark soil and found it wriggling with life, you know that earthworms are a gardener's best friend. These humble creatures are the hidden engineers of healthy soil, quietly breaking down organic matter, improving drainage, and enriching your garden beds with natural nutrients. Yet many gardeners overlook how to actually attract and keep these tiny allies in their soil. In today's Soil Stories feature, we'll dig deep into 5 proven ways to attract earthworms naturally. No chemicals, no gimmicks, just pure soil-loving wisdom. Whether you're working on a small raised bed or managing a large garden, these tips will help you build a living soil system where worms thrive and your plants flourish. Let's start with the obvious. Earthworms need food, and their favorite dish isn't fancy compost or expensive fertilizer. It's decaying organic matter, the natural leftovers of the garden world. Leaves, kitchen scraps, grass clippings, aged manure, and shredded paper all make a perfect buffet for worms. When you mix these materials into your soil or spread them as mulch, you're doing more than just feeding your plants. You're inviting earthworms to feast. As they eat, they digest and release castings, which are among the richest natural fertilizers in the world. Here's a trick I use in my own garden. I create worm zones by burying small handfuls of food scraps in different parts of the bed every few days. Things like banana peels, coffee grounds, and wilted greens attract worms like magnets. Within a week or two, you'll notice tunnels forming and the soil becoming softer and darker. That's the worm magic at work. Pro tip: avoid fresh citrus peels, onions, or anything oily or salty. These can repel worms rather than attract them. Stick to gentle, plant-based materials that break down easily. Imagine trying to live underground in a dry desert. That's how earthworms feel when your soil dries out. Moisture is essential for their skin and movement. Without it, they simply can't breathe. If you want a thriving worm population, never let your soil dry out completely. Keep it evenly damp, like a wrung-out sponge. This doesn't mean overwatering, which can drown them. It means maintaining consistent, balanced moisture. Mulching is your best friend here. A thick layer, about 2 to 3 inches, of organic mulch, like straw, shredded leaves, or compost, helps the soil retain moisture, regulates temperature, and creates a cool, damp environment where worms love to live. In my garden, I've noticed that areas under heavy mulch always have double or even triple the number of earthworms compared to bare soil. When you lift that mulch layer, it's like discovering a bustling underground city, full of tunnels, castings, and healthy activity. Remember, if your soil is too dry, worms will go deeper or leave. Keep watering gently and regularly, especially during hot, windy seasons. This one is non-negotiable. If you're serious about attracting and keeping earthworms, say goodbye to chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. Most chemical treatments kill not only pests but also the beneficial microbes and organisms that worms rely on. Worse still, they can irritate or poison the worms directly. The result? Sterile soil that may look neat and tidy but is lifeless underneath. Instead, choose natural, organic soil boosters like compost tea, worm castings, or aged manure. These feed both your plants and your soil's living community. When worms sense a chemical-free, nutrient-rich environment, they multiply naturally. I once tested this by maintaining 2 similar garden beds, one organic, the other using synthetic fertilizer. Within 2 months, the organic bed had noticeably more worm tunnels and richer soil texture. The other, hard, compact, and lifeless. The difference was night and day. So if you want to see your soil come alive, let nature take the lead. Ditch the chemicals, and your worms will thank you by working harder than any store-bought fertilizer ever could. Earthworms need space to move, breathe, and build their tunnels. If your soil is too compacted, from walking on garden beds, heavy machinery, or clay buildup, they'll pack up and leave. Worms prefer loose, crumbly soil where oxygen can flow freely. That's why it's so important to avoid stepping on your planting areas and to regularly aerate the soil. You can do this gently by using a garden fork to loosen the top few inches or by growing deep-rooted plants like daikon radish or comfrey, which naturally break up hard ground. If your soil is clay-heavy, mix in compost and coarse sand over time. Compost not only feeds the worms but also helps lighten and structure the soil, making it easier for them to navigate. I like to think of worms as the natural tillers of the earth. They do the hard work if you simply make the environment welcoming. Once they move in, they'll keep your soil loose and well aerated without you lifting a spade. Here's where the real fun begins. Once you've got worms visiting your garden, the goal is to make them stay. You do this by creating a permanent worm-friendly ecosystem. A worm habitat doesn't need to be fancy. Just think in layers, mulch on top, moist soil beneath, and plenty of food and organic matter in between. Over time, this creates a continuous cycle. As mulch decomposes, it becomes worm food. As worms eat, they enrich the soil, which in turn supports stronger plants and more worms. If you want to take it further, consider installing a small vermicomposting bin nearby. You can use kitchen scraps to raise worms in the bin and occasionally move a few handfuls into your garden beds. It's an easy, sustainable way to boost your soil's worm population naturally. In the long term, a healthy worm ecosystem also helps regulate pests, improve plant resilience, and balance soil structure. It's like having a self-sustaining garden partner that never stops working for you. Attracting earthworms isn't just about boosting your garden's fertility, it's about restoring life to the soil. Every worm tunnel increases airflow, every casting enriches the soil, and every wriggle contributes to the hidden web of life beneath your feet. In today's fast-paced, chemical-driven world, going back to these natural methods is more than just good gardening. It's a small act of environmental healing. The more worms we encourage, the more carbon gets stored in the soil, the more nutrients cycle naturally, and the more resilient our gardens become. When you build your soil with worms in mind, you're not just growing plants, you're cultivating an ecosystem. Building a garden full of earthworms isn't hard, it just takes care, consistency, and respect for nature's processes. Feed them well, keep their home moist and chemical-free, loosen the soil, and they'll reward you with thriving plants, lush harvests, and soil that just keeps getting better year after year. So, if you want to see your soil truly come alive, start today. Pick one of these 5 ways and try it this week. You'll be amazed at how quickly the change begins. And if you enjoyed this guide, don't forget to subscribe to Soil Stories for more hands-on gardening wisdom, natural soil hacks, and inspiring ways to bring your garden to life. Share this article with a fellow gardener and help spread the secret. Because healthy soil starts with the humble earthworm.